Oh, hey, Chris here from Finland Mennonite Church, back with another session of Midweek Musings, this time where we just slow down, remind ourselves of one truth from the previous week's sermon series. And this past week was Easter, so we were celebrating the empty grave of Jesus and saying that not only is our faith based on this truth, but that our hope in everyday life can be greatly transformed by it as well. And so I'm actually outside on this beautiful sunny day and enjoying the outside and listening to the birds. Hopefully some of them will come through and you'll be able to hear it as well. But maybe you've been hearing more birds at your house in the morning. Maybe you've been seeing those Canadian geese as they've been flying north. Maybe you've had the opportunity to see some of the snow geese as they've been flying north. Or maybe you just enjoy birding and being out and looking at all of the beautiful varieties that we enjoy here in southeastern Pennsylvania. And maybe you're wondering, what does any of this have to do with the hope of an empty grave, the hope of a resurrected Savior? When we think about birding, let's think about what we sometimes have to do. We have to do some research into a good area to go to see some birds. Perhaps we need to know some migratory patterns of some of these birds. Perhaps we need certain equipment, like these binoculars that help us to see more clearly and up close. A good hat always helps, right? The proper camouflage and just being in the right place. Maybe it's sitting outside of a bird feeder, like you see behind me, because it attracts these wonderful birds that we can then observe and look at. So doing birding takes some work, it takes some effort, it takes some research, but then it also takes some patience, right? We have to sit, often quietly. And this has a lot to do with this hoping in the empty grave. See, when we go through life, especially when things aren't going our way, as Habakkuk ends with, he says that, there's no fruit on the vine, the fields are a mess, the cattle aren't doing well. There's a lot of things we can do in those situations. We can turn to the God of might, and we can just try to use our power, our influence, our abilities to rise above and to overcome. We can look in times when there is much, when we are in abundance, and we can start to believe that it's because of our ingenuity, our abilities in itself, that we created all these things. When we have a lot, we can fall into the desire of just wanting more. Not that we need more, but we just want more. Or we can become so fixated on ourselves that we bow to the God of me. Here's the problem with any of these gods, though. One, they're all false. They're all really non-existent. And two, what that means is that when times do get hard, they're going to fail. And then what does that leave us with? With despair, no hope, just an empty outlook on life. Or maybe it causes us to double down and refuse and just try even harder and give even more of our money and throw more of our strength at something. But eventually there's going to be something that it's not going to work for. But yet Habakkuk ends by saying, nope, he's going to wait quietly on the Lord. He's going to wait quietly on the Lord even when things look to be in full despair, when things look to be completely out of control. He's going to turn and wait on the Lord. And what that means is he's going to keep doing things God's ways and letting God work his work. And that had me thinking about birding. Because you got to do something. You can't just not do anything and expect to see all kinds of varieties of birds. You can't expect to have a lot of success, right? There's something that we need to do about it. Be in the right area, be there at the right time, spend a long enough time there, and then patiently wait for the bird to show up. And in the same way, as we go through life, we can choose to turn to false gods, or we can be reminded of the truth of the empty grave and the hope that that gives us. The hope that there is a God who can work even in the most direst of situations, right? Even on a cross, even in a buried Messiah, God can work, and he can turn that into a resurrection. Friends, he can do a work in whatever you're facing right now as well. Let's keep trusting him. Let's keep doing things his way, allowing him to work a work. And as you continue to hear these birds, as you continue to see the birds, Let it be a reminder to us of the hope that we have of a resurrection, the hope that we have of an empty grave, which means that no matter what happens, we can continue to trust, we continue to believe, we continue to do things God's ways, which, as Jesus himself said, is to love God with all that you got and love your neighbor as yourself. We keep doing those things, and we let him work a work that will leave us dumbfounded. Enjoy the birds, but more than that, may they remind you of this beautiful hope and truth that we have in Jesus Christ. Have a blessed week.